Hello and welcome along to another episode of this FM19 story, The Head Coach with me, Daniel. It's Season 8, Episode 1. We're back for a brand new year. We're still at Barnsley and we play at home to Peterborough today after a busy summer with plenty of surprises. And to celebrate the new season and the fact we've kept a job for a third year in succession, please put a thumbs up on the video and subscribe to the channel for daily FM19 content. But let's crack on with the season. We're playing against a Peterborough side today managed by Quique Sanchez Flores, a very big name for a club there. We've got a few surprises in the league. My beloved Luton Town are back after relegation the year before. Sunderland and Leeds have dropped back out of the Premier League. So there's plenty of big teams in there and it's going to be an arduous task to try and get out of this league to the Premiership. I don't think it's going to happen this year and I'm slightly less confident given the transfer window we've just had. It seems a little weird to say that as our Director of Football Dougie Freedman has addressed all three problem positions up front. We said we needed to get a new front three that was improved. He's delivered. However, he's then gone and weakened the back half of the team to do that. You can see today why that leaves us incredibly short because Benniker and Taylor are both out injured and we haven't really got the adequate replacements for them. So we're going a bit more attacking than we would normally today, but that's not really through choice. So let's go and have a look at the transfers. It's a little bit quieter than we expected. He's rejecting offers for Joe Lumley, one of them rising up to nearly 4 million. He's also tried to loan out Allsop, which seems a bit strange. They're the only two keepers at the club. Scully rejected a loan to QPR. He's accepted a few loan offers for him during the window, and we've got the possibility of Joses leaving in the next week or so. Unfortunately, he and almost all the other of the January signings last year are now surplus to requirements due to the upgrade. He is trying to loan in Andre Green from West Ham. I think he's the Villa youngster in real life. He is. He looks okay, but I'm not sure that's a position we should be prioritising when we've got 4 good players up there already. But let's have a look at the transfer history to see the few that he's done. Only 5 transfers of note really, as well as keeping on a loan player. However, he has weakened the team significantly with sales, particularly in the defensive end. So we've loaned out loads of the youngsters here. As I said before in the comments a couple of times, these are the ones that we have to put on the loan list. Dougie doesn't really loan them out and they end up just rotting in the 23s or 18s. Berkovic we were planning to keep, obviously a previous hero from our other save with Torquay, but as we got 2 stronger players in, we've loaned him out to Motherwell. He'll probably be sold on after that, but it's worth getting him some more football. But let's look at the ones that were sold. The first 2 are no surprises at all. We expected them to go. Keenan Davis for 200 grand to Bradford. He's not really good enough for Championship level, as proven by the fact that he's gone down to, I think, League One. They're in League One, so it's exactly what we expected. He's a League One player. Van Leberger's gone off to Turkey, one of 2 players to go to the same club. So he's a decent player, but again sort of League One standard, so he wasn't really going to get into the team. He was useful for his versatility, but didn't make many appearances last season. Janino Bacuna, he was unhappy at the end of last year, caused a lot of dressing room revolts, and he's an okay player, but wasn't anything special. So we've sold him on to Legia Warsaw, or I should say Dougie Freedman sold him on to Legia Warsaw, and got a very good deal for him as well. He'd just reached 100 appearances for us, but now he's gone off to Poland, where we've got 4 million for him. Then we got nearly 1 million for another player to Turkey. This time it's Joel, the backup right back. He's not been replaced either, which is a little bit difficult, but 900,000 for a 30-year-old backup isn't bad at all. And then we sold Mamadou Tiam, another player who wasn't particularly happy about being a backup. 3.7 million we got to him, and he's going to join Van Leberger over in Turkey at the same club. So a decent pro for us, 237 appearances and scored at over 1 in 10, but he's just not quite good enough for our promotion push over the next couple of seasons. Then after all these loanees, we've got one sale at the bottom, which is Kadeem Harris, another player we bought in January. To mention Ruben Sobrino, he's on the transfer list now as well. So the January transfers have ended up being disastrous. No long-term view. They were good for that half a season, but not good enough for us now. Harris we got 600,000 for Kilmarnock, so we did make a slight profit, and he goes there into his 30s to see out his career in Scotland. But let's go and focus on the ins. They're far more important at this stage. The first one's from our parent club, Man United. Seems like an easy signing for Dougie, but this one could be the best of the lot. He's Manchester United's highest rated hot prospect on the home screen, and he should be a great player for us. I was just on my way back and noticed that Rashford was transfer listed and out on loan. He's gone to Juventus, so he's not like a step down. I thought he just hadn't reached his potential. So if we go and have a look at Edwards, he's a right winger, 4-star ability, 5-star potential, an under-21 England international, just like Armstrong was last year. Media description of Wonder Kid, we all know what that means. Electric quick on the counter-attack and fairly good technically. If we can give him a year of football to work on his mentals and see that likes to round the keeper trait work in person, I'll be very happy with this season's signing. Moving on, we've suddenly gone to Germany and gone absolutely nuts for signings there. I think it was France last January, England the summer before, and he's just moving between countries. So Yannick Stark, again a very experienced player, 33 years of age, 3-star ability, 3-star potential, a natural in the holding role and central midfield, and due to our lack of players and Benneker being injured, he's actually starting as one of the midfield two today. Next along is Alexander Hack. He's a 30-year-old German centre-half, another left-footer to go alongside Burton and Lindsay. Obviously, we lost Steve Cook at the end of last year, so this is a really important signing to ensure we've got 4 centre-halves at the club. The other one's the youngster Alex Jackson, but he'll be covering more at full-back at the moment. Next from Hertha Berlin is Florinal Koman, 400,000, and this looks an absolute steal. A 26-year-old Romanian, former under-21 international, 3.5-star ability and potential, and a good inside forward. He looks really solid across the board, and I'm really quite happy with that signing. He does dive into tackles though, which could get him in a bit of trouble. Mark Still was just a youngster that was signed by the head of youth development. Never going to make it, don't know why he was signed. And then our second best signing of the window, on loan from Southampton this time, is Jack Rooney. A striker, 4-star ability, 5-star potential, another under-20 international for England, and a natural advanced forward with exceptional finishing composure and pace. You couldn't ask for much more really. Solid off the ball, good technique, agile on the turn, brilliant first touch. He just looks like the complete striker, and the only thing I don't understand is why he can't get a game for Southampton. I just want to go and have a look at his coach report. It doesn't say he's inconsistent either, which is normally the thing you worry about with these sort of players. So I'm absolutely delighted with him, and I'm hoping he can be a big scorer for us this year. So that's all the summer news so far. Obviously we've got a couple more to come in. Green looks like he's going to be coming on loan, and with that other 5.5 million that would then be left, I'd like to hope he'll make 2 or 3 big signings on deadline day. We're really looking for a central midfielder, and we need some backup players in the full-back areas. So if we go and have a look at the squad, it's a little bit smaller than last year at the moment. Sabrino's on the transfer list, Hozes is on his way out, but that leaves us a little bit short in certain positions. We're really short in defence, no backup fullbacks, and although the likes of Jackson and Burton are versatile, we don't really want to be playing them out of position too often. We are one man short in central midfield, but in attacking areas we're fairly strong, especially if we get in Andre Green. So let's get into the game of the season. That's what we're here for against Peterborough. We really want to get off to a good start and show our credentials for the year. Obviously we finished 7th on the last day of the season last time out, so we really want to sneak into the top 6 if possible. I know that will be difficult with the squad we've got, and I think if we go and look at our pre-season preview, we were expected to finish 11th or 12th. That's remained the case, but it's fairly tight down to 13th, and then we've got a few drifting sides towards the bottom. My beloved Luton Town are predicted to finish 22nd and just go back down, so hopefully they'll be able to survive somehow. But let's go and look at the lineup for the first game and see what we've put out for today. We've also tweaked the tactic a little bit as well, and as you can see from the ratings here, we've gone a bit of the opposite to last year. So we had all 3.5 star at the back last season, and then a lot of 3 stars moving forward aside from Goodwin. This year it's almost the polar opposite. Bar Stark, the front 6 are all brilliant, and bar Lindsay and Lumley, the back 5 are struggling a little. Colin's starting to decline at 32 years of age, and Burton, although he will be brilliant, just isn't quite as good as Cook. So the lineup for today is Lumley in goal, Colin and Lewis covering at full-back. That's because Charlie Taylor's out injured, and the only other option was Burton, who's now our starting centre-half. Burton and Lindsay are the 2 central defenders. Tappy are in the holding role. We'll talk about the change of duties there in a minute. And then Stark and Goodwin in central midfield. Edwards on the right, Coman on the left, and Rooney up front in an all-new look front 3. Let's look at the mentality then. We have pushed it forward a little bit to positive. What we have done in possession, we're going to go slightly longer. Not direct, but just not too short. We were keeping the ball but not creating so many chances last year. And now we've got a quicker striker up front. We can play him behind a little too. Hopefully he'll be on the shoulder and Edwards can get there and round the keeper as well. We've not changed anything else at the moment, so we'll just wait and see how that pans out. In transition, we're distributing to the playmaker. As we mentioned, we changed the duty and role for Tapia in the holding role. His backups now Stark and Scully. They're all natural at the deep line playmaker role, so I want them to come and drop in, a bit like the idea of Jorginho at Chelsea or one of the playmakers at City. Drop in and get the ball from the keeper and then play it out to the fullbacks and attack from there. So we'll see if it works out early on. If not, we'll change it to fullbacks or something else that's appropriate. Out of possession, we've moved our defensive lines forward a bit. Aside from Lindsay, we've got a fairly quick defence, and up front we've now got 3 lightning quick and agile players, so hopefully on the turn they'll be quick to close down and we'll be able to nick a few goals by that method. We're also going to change from get stuck in to stay on feet, just because we want to get a few less bookings this year. It's what I normally do, but last year we had a fairly dirty side who we just needed to get into tackles. We can afford to get caught out this year. Once Benneker's back in the team, we should be strong in that sense. So that's the plan for this season. We changed what were the 2 playmaker roles in the middle. That's just because we're not playing quite a shorter passing game this year. So Stark will go into the Carrilero and Goodwin as the Mazzala. He'll hopefully then cover out wide when Coman cuts in. We'll see if it all works out. And once Benneker comes back in, we'll obviously have to think about Stark's role a bit more. But that's the plan for the season that we've come up with so far. We've got a few of last year's first team on the bench in attacking areas, the likes of Armstrong and Woodrow. That bodes really well for us, but we're struggling a little bit defensively and only really have those 2 backups available. I guess once Charlie Taylor and Benneker are fit, it's not quite so bad, but you can't bank on a whole season without getting injuries. So let's get into the first game of the season and see if we can get a decent result. A more defensive variation of the 4-3-3 for Peterborough. The 2 wingers have been dropped right back. They've got Cameron McGee and a former Luton and Barnsley man I recognise. Mannion in goal's a good keeper. Cooper the centre half, the old Leeds one. Who's McNeil up front? Is that the one from Burnley? It is. I didn't think he was a striker. He played in central and wide midfield areas. But either way, he's a decent pro up there, so we've got to be careful. Rankin Costello's another man I think we had on loan at Torquay in our other series. He didn't play much, but he's a decent player nonetheless. Callum Cook in the middle there. I had a series off camera with York in FM17 or 18. He was exceptional in that one, taking us through various leagues. So a lot of decent players there. And the one that I didn't mention, of course, was Ebanks Lendl, who was here at Barnsley when we came to the club. Didn't last long and only made 1 appearance, but he's a former player nonetheless. We're not going to listen to Winkler today. We're going to tell the lads to go out and leave them in no doubt as to why we're favourites. Let's see if we can get the win and really stamp our authority early on. A full house at home after a good season last year, and they want to see some good football and more importantly a big win. Collins got the ball on the right, but the highlight ends and after a couple of minutes it remains goalless. Lindsay's got the ball at the back. Can we get the first shot of the match early on? Lewis inside to Stark. Stark's coming forward on the right. He brings it to the left-hand side to Lewis. He's cutting in very narrow for a fullback. Goodwin in the middle of the pitch to Coman. Coman cuts out 25 yards, curls it just wide. What a start that would have been for him. But after 4 minutes it remains goalless as Colin now has a long throw. Coman finds Goodwin. Edwards on the edge of the box goes for the shot. And both new signings out wide have had a good effort on goal now. But it's still goalless as neither of them have got past the keeper. Tappy has got the ball to Lindsay. I'm impressed with the early dominance. And we're still playing good football even though we're not quite as short. Burton out to Edwards on the right hand side. Shows his quality to skin 2 men. And Coman at the back post with a header. Puts it just wide of the post. He's fairly good in the air for a winger, Coman. Which is going to be a good asset later in the year. As Lindsay has a header from a corner. But it's just wide of the post. And it remains 0-0 after 15 minutes. A really encouraging start. But we've got to be better in front of goal. It's Colin on the right with a free kick. He finds Stark halfway inside the opposition half. Colin with the delivery delivery from deep. Coman loses out. Goodwin knocks it down. Stark with the volley, just off the outside of the post. What a bit of technique it was, but it didn't quite find the net. And now it's into the box from a Peterborough free kick. Their first chance of the match, but McNeil has it deflected wide by Burton. Brilliant work from the young defender to keep them at bay. It doesn't go down as their first shot, so maybe he was trying to cross it. Coman clears the ball away. The corner's safely dealt with, and after a quarter of the game, we've dealt with the first bit of defensive work. Coman with a corner into Tapia, deflects off Goodwin and in. I don't think he knew anything about it, but with 25 minutes on the clock, we finally lead. It's very much deserved, and we've been ruthless from a set piece again. Good work from the lads, and a really good start so far. Half an hour gone, it's Lewis with a free kick again, into the top corner. It's 2-0, and once the first one went in, the floodgates have opened. It's 2-0 and comfortable work, and I know Peterborough aren't going to be one of the top sides in the league this year, but this is a really convincing start so far. Watson to Hayward for Peterborough. They're still halfway inside their own half. Cook gets the ball out to Ridings. We don't want to give away a silly goal after a really good half. They've only had one shot so far to our 10, but if we give them one clear-cut chance and switch off, it could well be a difficult second period. Cook gets the ball to Rankin Costello, shoots from 30 yards, but that's easy for Lumley. Decent football, but didn't lead to a really good chance. 5 minutes to the break. Let's see if we can keep our 2-goal lead, or even extend it with Lewis. That's ridiculous. His free kick taking rating is 15, and he's proven why with 2 brilliant goals, and at left back today, he's had absolutely no problems. We might struggle with that against some of the bigger, harder attacking sides, but against Peterborough at home, he's really worked well there. At the break, we lead 3-0, and even more impressively, Luton lead against Sheffield United, so it's looking like a really good day for me as a Barnsley manager and Luton fan. Passionately, we're going to tell the lads to keep it up. They've been absolutely brilliant. OK, we've scored from 2 set pieces, but we've dominated the game. It's the ball out on the right-hand side with Watson. McGeehan inside. He finds Cook. Out to the right-hand side to Watson again. Ridings finds Watson. They're going to deliver here, but it's deflected behind for a corner kick. Good work from Lewis at left back. Let's see if we can deal with this one as well. Ridings is going to put an outswinger into the box. Beats everyone and it's out for a throw on the other side. What an awful bit of work from Peterborough. It's Peterborough with a free kick. They're dominating this half so far. Lindsay with a shot, but it's head away, and Burton clears it long downfield. Ebanks-Lindell recovers possession at the back for them. Look at the pressure there from the attacking players. Brilliant work from them, but Peterborough are able to play it out. They've got it in the left-back area with Hull. Rankin Costello to Cook. It's good to see the pressing game in force. It's working really well here, and we're dealing with Peterborough well. I say that as they'll probably come forward and score now, as Riding surges into the box, and you can't do anything about a finish like that. Yes, we backed off a little bit too much, but a really smart finish by the right winger, and it's now 3-1 with 5 minutes gone in the second half. Peterborough dominating this half so far, so we're going to go and demand more from the lads just before this gets out of hand. Ridings finds Cook straight into the arms of Lumley, but another worrying sign as they've almost caught us up on the shot count. It's Colin with a throw on the right to Rooney. Rooney holds it up. Great ball for Coman. He's in one-on-one. Has to score, but it's straight at the keeper. A poor finish on his weaker left foot. And unfortunately, it remains 3-1 as a result. There's 20 minutes to go, so let's make a couple of subs. I'm not sure who we're going to take off just yet. Scully can come on for Tapia, who's on a yellow, and severely unfit compared to most of the team. Scully's a natural in that role, so that works out well for us. Edwards on his debut will come off. Armstrong's available to come on the right. And we're going to give Yannick Stark 5 more minutes before giving him a little rest as well. A 33-year-old playing as a Carolero, we've got to be a bit more careful of that. It's Ridings with a free kick for Peterborough on the right. It's comfortably wide at the post. And now we will take Stark off. Mowat on for him. I think he's okay as a Carolero, but we're going to try and see out the game now. So we're just going to put him as an advanced playmaker on support, so he sits in his position a little bit more. Goodwin's been just as good in a Mazzala role and extremely effective, just as he was last season when he was playing as an advanced playmaker. But with 5 minutes to go, it looks like a comfortable first day of the season victory, and we're more than happy with the performance we've put in. When we've got really comfortable games, we'll bring Jackson on and get him some football too, but I'm not too worried at this point as he's almost reached his potential. A really decent performance and a thoroughly good day for the fans' first time out. Some promising signs from the new players. Coman with with an assist, Lewis doing just as well as left back, which is really good for us, especially if we want to keep Coman in the team. Taylor picked up a lot of knocks last year, so it's important for us that we've got a backup option. But we've won the game 3-1, looked thoroughly comfortable most of the way through. Just that dodgy 10-minute spell at the start of the second half, which threatened to cause a bit of mayhem. But a good first day of the season. We're going to ignore Winkler and praise the lads. We'll tell them they did well and they're really happy with that. Let's go and quickly see what the media have said about the game and look at when we'll next be back for our second episode of the season. We're third after that game, but it's a bit too early to look at the league table. Luton did hang on, I think, 3-2. Brilliant result for them. Quality of possession provides victory. It was actually a 50-50 split of possession in the end, but we dominated the shot count. More shots normally means more goals. Sanchez Flores isn't happy. We're not expecting him to be. They've just got absolutely hammered. Coman made his debut, as did Yannick Starr. Collins 5 appearances away from triggering a clause. We're not worried about that. He's a good player. Lewis was brilliant in front of goal. We've got to go and praise him for that. And the post-match press conference we'll deal with in a moment. If we go and have a look at the schedule, there's a big month coming up in August. Loads of games, including a cup game against Luton, followed by a league game against them too. But we're going to come back for the first match in September. All of the transfer and loan windows will be closed. And our first game then will be against Sunderland at home. That'll give us a bit more of an indication of where we can expect to finish this year. Can we compete well with 2 games a week over the rest of this month? And then can we do well at home against a side who were relegated last year? They're the questions we have to answer if we want to be a top 6 side, and it'll probably determine our ambitions for the rest of the season. Will we want to stay at Barnsley and try and get them in the top 6, or will we be looking to move on when we get a good job offer? The only one we had over the summer was Glasgow Rangers. We had an interview with them, and it would have been a dilemma for us, but we never got a job offer in the end. They picked someone else, and it saved us a big decision. So we'll see how the first month or so goes, and then we'll be back for that Sunderland game in a month's time. Plenty of games will have been played by then, and hopefully we'll have some more transfer news as well. But if you did enjoy this first episode of the season, please put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know down in the comments what you think of Dougie's signing so far. Do you think I've got the tactic right for the players we have? And what do I do when Charlie Taylor and Benniker are back? As always, for the first episode of the season, let me know in the comments where you think we're going to finish this year. Can we sneak in the top 6, or am I being a little bit too optimistic? Subscribe to the channel for daily FM19 content from my 2 long-term stories. This one, The Head Coach, and our other series, Part of the Furniture with Torquay. We're still in season 6 with that one, as we've had loads of big games this year, so go back and check that out if you haven't already. There's also weekly content from our FIFA 19 lower league career with Crew Alexandra, where we've also had a big FA Cup run in season 3 of that one. But a massive thanks for watching this as always, and your continued support and following of the series. And we'll see you next time for another massive game, and hopefully some more transfer news as well.